It was it was like 2013, March 16th. And I was with my dad, and we were in the car on our way to an Allman Brothers Band concert. It wasn't my first Allman Brothers Band concert, which was March 12th, 2011. So this was about 2 years into my run of going to Allman Brothers Band performances. And we're in the car, and I say to my dad that there's this restaurant that I'd found out about from a high school teacher of mine, called Sushi Gary on Columbus Ave. It's right near the Beacon Theater, not too far away. And, we wanted to get, dinner before the show, and which is, like 8:00 show. So we figured all right, let's get dinner at 5, right? So he says, okay, yeah, pull it up on your open table thing. I confirm for 2 at 5. So we get to the restaurant, and we're there, and I look at the screen where we check in, and right under my name is Trucks, Derek. And I freak out, and I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. Wow, Dad, look at that. And the person at the front says, oh, you know him? We're like, you're friends with him? We said, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, we know him. So she says, okay, we can seat you right here. We can see you right near them. Yeah. So, we're not that far away. So maybe we're, over here. And if I'm over here, Derek is maybe diagonally across from us, our table. So I'm sitting across from my dad, and I'm able to look over at the table where they're going to sit. Right. And so, but my back is to the door. So my dad is able to see when they come in. So he tells me, they're here. They walked in. So they walk in, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I like, don't look. He's like, don't look. So I don't look. So I'm like, just sitting, whatever. They come down to the table. Now they have somebody with them who I can't tell. I think he was like a photographer, because he had a camera bag and this like hat with a feather in it, and like this like leather jacket. And he looked like somebody who was like very like cool, like a PR person, like maybe somebody who was going to do like a photo shoot, or like a friend of theirs or something. I don't know, but he was a guest of theirs. So so I knew then it was like, okay, well, like if I'm going to interact with them, I have to be quick. I can't, interrupt their dinner. I have to wait for the right time, make sure that, it's like that it's okay. So we sit there, and it turns out that we both are ordering actually the same thing, because what this restaurant specializes in is like, omakase, which is like a very specific, order of food and fishes and things, and they serve it to everybody in the restaurant. So we get ours, and just a little bit later, Derek and Susan get theirs. And so I look over at them, and I'm like very excited, because I realize we're eating the same thing. So I'm able to look over and subtly see what Derek picks up, what PC picks up, and then I'm able to try the same thing in that order that he tries it. And we actually are both going pretty linearly, but at one point, I pick up a piece, and I look over at him, and he happens to look up and over at me. We both have the same piece of sushi in our hands. We both eat it at the same time. And the experience is like unbelievable, because this fish is like crazy good. And like, we're both experiencing, and like, he nods like, this is good. And I nod, yeah, this is good. And then we continue both going back down to our meals and whatnot. Everything finishes. My dad says, okay, so just go step away to the restroom. Go step away. So he sends me away. So I go over to the bathroom, and just like collect myself. And my dad walks over to there. This is now, he tells me this much, much later, right after. He tells me, so he walks over to their table. He says, hi, I apologize to bother you, but my son and I are going to the Allman Brothers Band show tonight. He's a huge fan of yours. Would it be okay if he came over, to introduce himself? And they said, oh, yes, of course. We could tell that he noticed us, when we walked in, and he was being cool and collected. Oh, please send him over, of course. So, I walk back up. He texts me, says, okay, come back. So, I come back to the table. He says, okay, you can go. So I walk over there, and I say, hi, I'm a really big fan. I'm a guitar player myself. I've been playing since I was 6, and I'm just saying I'm really excited to come to the show tonight. Like it's like, would it be okay, like if Derek, if you signed my ticket? And he goes, oh yeah, of course, and he takes out his pen, and he, signs my ticket. And I look over at Susan. I say, Susan, would you sign it too? And she goes, oh, heck yeah. And she takes the pen from Derek. She, signs the ticket. And then I say, and I'm a guitar player, and I've been playing, since I was 6. And I just want to say, like, you're really good, and you've given me a lot of inspiration, and I want to thank you for that. And Derek goes, "Oh yeah, well here, man," and he pulls his slide out of his pocket, which is the one that is, pictured right here, which we got framed. So he gives me this slide. He says, "Here, man," and gives me that. And I said, would it be okay if we took a photo? And they said, of course. Here's, and they stand up. We take the photo, which is right there in the frame. And then I say, well, thank you so much. It was like so nice to meet you, and really thank you. And yeah, just thank you. And they said, oh yeah, of course. Have a good evening, And we walk off, and we walk out of the restaurant, and I am floating down the street the entire way to the venue. And by the time that we get to the venue, I've got like a smile the size of Texas on my face, which I saw somebody commented on the on my original Facebook post, because it's so funny they say that, because I did as well. It was like huge smile, and like basically, was just so ready for the concert that night. And then by the end of the sets, I was able to rush down, which I always did, because we had, balcony seats up at the top, and we were able to, have a nice view of the stage and perfect sound right in the center. And then after the show, I would run down the stairs at the Beacon, rush my way through the security guards, because I was a kid, just be able to like rush through. There was like, it was much more relaxed at that time. And I'd be able to just run right up to the front and be able to say like, oh, set list, can I put up the set list? And because I was a seasoned concert goer at this point, so I had known that people at the end of a show go, oh, could I have a set list? But, so I'd seen it. So, like 2011, I saw it, and 2012, I saw it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this myself, because this is a really important night. So I grabbed one at the end of the first set and one at the end of the second set. And I then was able to put them up on my wall, and I have this memory. And first of all, it was a great show. So, so Susan came on that night. Colonel Bruce Hampton was there, Nels Klein. I mean, you had Liz Reed. Done Somebody Wrong was the show opener. I mean, like, this was a crazy, insane show. And so to then have all of that taken with me. And a key thing of the Allman Brothers thing, too, is you could get the instant lives. So right after the show, we went out and bought the CD, and I popped that right in the CD drive when we were driving on the way home listening to the show again. And, it was a crazy, crazy experience